This week on The Real Deal, we're going to answer one of the questions. The question that came in was, hey Gabby, I have a property that is currently tenanted. My concern is the tenants are a little bit messy. I can't afford to have the property stand empty. What do you suggest I do? That is an excellent question, and there's many answers, and there's not necessarily a correct answer. So what would I do? Well, first up, what I'd do is I'd have a look at the property. I'd chat to the tenants and I'd ask whether they were open to working with me as the agent. Now, of course, we'd have to make it worth their while. So normally, let's face it, money talks, right? So no good giving them a coffee voucher. I had someone that said to me, what if we bought them some coffee vouchers? Would they go for a free coffee? I'm like, no. We're dealing with a tenant. This is their home and they do not want the inconvenience. Let's do something a little bit nicer. So we spoke about maybe a voucher or something along those lines, a week's free rent. And what you do is you give them some KPIs. You have to clean up, you have to tidy up, you have to allow me to do 2 open homes a week, just 2. That's not too much, right? I'm going to come on a Wednesday at lunchtime and I'm going to be there on a Saturday and do an open home. And yes, I will be bringing people through. They will be guided tours and we'll make sure that all the people are either qualified or, of course, we've got all their information, which we have to do under COVID anyway. And I'd ask them how they'd be with that. And if they go, no open homes, I'm not going to comply, it's pointless poking the bear. If that's the situation and they are messy and they're not going to oblige, then you're best just to wait for the lease to run out, because they can probably do your property more damage than good. There's nothing worse for an agent than rocking up to an open home and there's a clothes horse with socks and jocks on display. All right, I've recently sold a property like that. It certainly wasn't much fun at all. And I'm sure that his laundry cycles coincided always with when we had inspections at the property. Now, we use the wonderful program Inspect Real Estate, where we can actually conduct inspections even though it's not technically an open home. So we can get around the difficult tenant, okay? We can get around that and work with them and try and get them to play the game, but it doesn't always work. The other thing you can do is you can just issue 24 hours notice and just do a series of inspections throughout the week. And then you can say to the tenant, right, well, it's just going to take a lot longer to sell this way and it's going to frustrate you. So let's rather come to an agreement that I'm only going to be there 2 days a week. And let's give you some sort of incentive that if the property sells within a month and looks good, we'll give you a week's free rent or a $400 Coles Myer voucher. I'm sure they'll be a lot more willing to comply if that's the case. Look, there's absolutely no doubt at all that the best way to sell a property for an agent is if the property is completely vacant, the property's been fixed, well maintained, and of course, styled. Okay, I'm talking about physical furniture like this inside the property where people can walk around and it looks great and they get that feeling of ambience. We've just sold one in Birdwood Road and it was fantastic. The owners were great. They did everything we asked them to do. They had the property looking wonderful. It was styled. And of course, many people came through and we did receive a number of offers. That is definitely, without doubt, the best way to sell a property. That way you're not dealing with a tenant, you're not dealing with a property manager, and you're only just dealing, like most transactions, with a seller and with a buyer. In the current market, we're selling a lot of investment stock, which basically means for the agent, we're dealing with the seller, the buyer, and often it's multiple buyers in the current market. Then you have the property manager, and most property managers are great and there's no issues, particularly my property managers. But then, of course, you have the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper is the person that won't allow you access because the baby's sleeping between 1 and 2. And, I'm not going to do that. And I won't let you do an inspection at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I won't let you do this and I won't let you do that. And let me tell you, it's hard enough selling a property without the stresses. So if you are considering selling your properties, we'll always try and work with you and work within parameters, but it's far better to actually wait for the property to be vacant so that we can do the absolute best possible job and maximize the price. That's all from me this week on The Real Deal.